Well, we've got breaking news and a 49ers update here from Italy. Jaire Alexander, the former Pro Bowl Packers cornerback, has signed with the Baltimore Ravens. 1 year worth up to $6 million, $4 million in base compensation for Jaire Alexander. Now, we're in Positano now. When I was in Prague a few days ago, Jaire was cut by the Packers, and the first video I made was, no, the 49ers are not likely to sign this guy, even though the betting markets had Jaire Alexander favored to go to the 49ers. But San Francisco, they've got the highest spending in the league, the highest cumulative annual average value for all their contracts in the league. They're trying to get younger. I won't say they're trying to get cheaper because they're spending a whole lot of money this offseason, but they're trying to get younger, hungrier, healthier. They've got Diamaro Lenore on one side, a young player whom they just paid. They've got Renardo Green on the other side, a young player whom they just drafted. That third cornerback spot's going to go to either Trey Brown, another hungry player whom they just signed, or Upton Stout. He'd be the nickelback, a player whom they just drafted out of Western Kentucky. Jaire Alexander, who's going to be 28 years old, who's missed a total of 20 games over the course of the past 2 seasons, who's only played in more than half the season once in the last 4 years. That wasn't going to be a possibility for San Francisco. It's not how they've been operating this offseason. And I'll say this, the secondary was not an issue on this bad defense for the 49ers last year. It was the run defense that was the big problem for the 49ers. And the run defense is what they've invested in. That's where they've tried to get younger, hungrier, healthier over the course of this offseason. So, it can get really annoying whenever a big name becomes available. People just all scurry to the big name and say, oh, the 49ers should sign this guy, Jaire Alexander. It has to go to the 49ers. And they'll say that without watching tape and without applying NFL context. And, the average age of the NFL player is 26 years old. So the last time that we saw Jaire Alexander deliver a full season, play more than half the season, he was 25. So he was younger than the average NFL player. He's going to take the field for the Ravens at 28. Right? So with the Ravens, you look at their structure along that defense. You look at the fact that Marlon Humphrey is on one of those corner spots. He's an all-pro. You look at Nate Wiggins out of Clemson as the other cornerback. You see Jaire Alexander now mixed into that with some good safety play too, right? Kyle Hamilton is there. Malachi Starks is now a member of that Ravens secondary. You can see how, one extra veteran that could really help push things over the top. And Jaire actually was college teammates at Louisville with Lamar Jackson. And that apparently helped get this deal across the finish line. Might have even taken a little less money to play with his former college teammate with Baltimore than he was offered elsewhere. Look at the 49ers, though, and you look at the structure of their secondary, some of the young up-and-comers. I think the cornerback position they're very, very happy with. It's safety where I wouldn't be surprised if the 49ers tried to make another addition. Julian Blackmon is still out there, and Blackmon, they hosted him last year on a free agent visit before he re-signed with the Colts. They've got an extra connection now to Julian Blackmon, though, because Gus Bradley, who was the defensive coordinator of those Indianapolis Colts, he is now with the 49ers. And of course, there's some real injury questions for San Francisco at that safety position. Malik Mustafa coming back off of his torn ACL, but he might start the season on PUP. We're not exactly sure how that's going to work with Malik at this point. Jaire Brown coming off of an ankle procedure for San Francisco, so he's not going to be back until training camp at the soonest. So right now, the 49ers are dealing with 2 new signees, first stringers at safety. At least that's how it was over the offseason program. It was Jason Pinnock, who's going to make this team and at the very least be an important special teams player, is making $2.2 million this year. And it's going to be Richie Grant, who's another special teams ace potential player, but is having to be slotted in as that first string safety right now while the 49ers are seeing other guys recover from injuries. And I get it that Malik Mustafa was awesome last year. Jaire Brown wasn't. Thought there was a regression, and he's going to have to turn it around here in 2025. So that's all to say that safety is the position where a veteran addition for the 49ers makes the most sense. And somebody like Julian Blackmon, who played under Gus Bradley with the Colts, and Gus Bradley is now with the 49ers, and he's already visited the 49ers, somebody like that might make a whole lot of sense for the 49ers to bring in as a veteran before the start of this 2025 season. You know who else is out there is Justin Simmons, the former All-Pro safety. He played on a one-year contract last year following the longer stint in Denver. Everybody last year at this time was talking about Justin Simmons, and they wanted the 49ers to sign him, and obviously they didn't. Obviously they were interested in bringing in a safety last year between Rayshon Jenkins, who visited them and was offered a contract but ended up going to the Seahawks because he didn't want to play California state taxes. But between Jenkins and Blackman, the 49ers clearly broadcast their interest in that safety position, and I don't see why this year would be any different. In fact, I would think that it'd be more likely that the 49ers would be interested in sprucing up that room because of the injuries at safety. Big picture, though, is that the secondary for the 49ers was not horrible last year. I don't think it was bad at all last year. I think that the safety position, of course, is where there's slack to be picked up, but I think they had a promising year at cornerback, despite the fact that it was obviously a down year for Charvarius Ward, who is now in Indianapolis, no longer with the 49ers. Corner, Jaire Alexander's position, that was taken care of last year, and it was taken care of even more so through free agency with Trey Brown and through the draft with Upton Stout. It's more about what's in front of that secondary, and especially in front of the cornerbacks, as far as run defense, that's going to allow these corners to pounce, to cover as aggressively as they need to. It's more about shoring that part of this 49ers defense up. The run defense was putrid last year. That's what they took aim at this offseason. And, resources were obviously limited. And I'm going to be coming up with a big piece on the San Francisco Standard on this. If you take a look at all of the position groups, how much money the 49ers are spending in terms of annual average value at every single position group, they are number one by a fairly wide margin in the NFL. So despite the financial recalibration earlier this offseason, the 49ers are still have more money committed to contracts than any other team in this league. They also, to be able to make this work, they rank number 27 in salary cap money allotted for this season. They've got the second most salary cap space out of any team in the NFL, which means that the money that they have committed, they have pushed backwards as much as possible to surf the wave of the rising salary cap. That puts the 49ers in a strategy headspace that is not really conducive to one-year deals that you're just going to try to stack on the money for 2025. They're trying to either make small one-year deals, we're talking veteran minimum, $1 to $2 million at most, or they're trying to make A-list longer-term deals where they could manipulate the money, push it into the future, and have that crazy balance, right? The number one in AAV spend, the number 27 in 2025 cap spend. They're trying to make that happen. It's unprecedented, but it's the way that they're running the team. I think it's smart. I think that they're in a financially sustainable position, and they're in that sustainable position because they've moved on from guys who were hurt a lot, from guys who aren't all that available. They've recommitted on the available A-list core. We've seen Purdy, we've seen Kittle, we've seen Warner sign this offseason, and they filled in the other positions with hungry, younger talent. Jaire Alexander simply didn't match that for the 49ers. He does go to the Baltimore Ravens. San Francisco's plan remains intact. Robert Saleh is the biggest addition, I think, for this defense over the course of this offseason. He and all those defensive linemen that the 49ers were able to pick up. So that's your breaking news. It's your explanation of 49er strategy here from Positano, Italy. I promised, and I'm going to hold through with this promise. It's about to get crazy with the pizza content. Best pizza in the world coming tomorrow. Not here in Positano. We got to get closer to Naples. So stay tuned, because that's going to be maybe the biggest 49ers update of the offseason.